Del Rio. This is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca live here at DRN 25 Del Rio News Network to give you all set up severe weather-wise. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Val Verde County that includes Del Rio. We're gonna get you all set up here as we're live broadcasting what the storm is doing. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment on our feed and we'll be able to answer all those questions. We'll see you shortly. Last night, we had a good round of thunderstorms move on through. Right now, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That 5-day forecast for you for this week. This is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca.
This is your local weather report with Del Rio's trusted meteorologist, Alexander Menchaca.
Good evening, Del Rio. As I was saying earlier, we are under severe thunderstorm warning right now for Val Verde County. Let's get you all set up on what's going on weather-wise. Let's look at what the National Weather Service is saying. First of all, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That began today at 5:50 p.m. and that's going to last through 2 a.m. tonight, early into Wednesday morning. As we look at our next screen, you'll be able to see that watch area. So that watch area actually extends from Val Verde County all the way to Edwards County to Rock Springs. That's also going to include Kenny County and Brackettville, Uvalde County for the city of Uvalde, down south to Maverick County to an Eagle Pass, as well as in Carrizo Springs. The big story on this complex is going to be hail. As we could see, hail up to about 2 inches. That's close to about hen size, egg size hail. Winds are always going to be a factor in the summer. As you saw earlier in Del Rio, we had like a 45-mile-per-hour wind gust from a broken line that went through kind of like the big country last night, and that packed a punch in the morning. So winds are always a factor. Wind speeds possibly can reach up to 70, 80 miles per hour with some of these storms. And of course, with all that, energy in the atmosphere because of that heat, lightning will also be possible. But the other thing that I want to highlight too, in the summer, you usually see a lot of, heavy moisture. So rainfall rates are going to be relatively high. That's something that we're going to talk about shortly. So let's look at that radar to get you all caught up here in Del Rio. So right now we have that complex, that huge complex that's stretching all the way from Val Verde County all the way into West Texas. West Texas is getting some really good rain. As you can see, the warning area right now is in central Val Verde County. That's going to include Lakeview, that's going to include Box Canyon, that's going to include Del Rio, and the little southern tips of Kenny County, Maverick County. But let's go and look at the specifics on what's going on. You're starting to see, too, some feeder storms beginning to develop a little bit ahead of the line, kind of feeding into this band. As this band continues to move more to the southeast, you're going to see more of those feeder storms develop. So you may actually even see random storms develop in Del Rio as this line continues to come on to the south. So let's go and look at some specifics on what's going on this line. You're going to see me going to my screen here and just giving you a kind of an idea of what's going on. So let's look at the first thing that people always want to know, which is hail. So let's go and look at that real quick. So right now, looking at hail, we're going to look at something that's called the vertically integrated liquid model, which this is just going to give us an idea of any hail indicators in this storm. We want to look for the white areas. The white areas are going to be the ones that are going to indicate very large hail. And as you can see, there is somewhat of a hail core in near Mexico that is, all these storms are trending towards the east, towards the southeast. And it looks like there is a little bit of a hail core too right now, currently in the center part of Val Verde County. But another thing that you can probably see here too is not only that you see these whites, these other colors, these like purples, these pinks, these greens, this indicates very heavy rainfall. So I'm anticipating that the National Weather Service may issue a flood advisory because this storm is producing a lot of rain at the moment. But hail is a possibility with this line. Now, where is this hail core exactly going to go through? That's something we're going to be here to kind of wait and see where that does go to. Right now, I would say that if you are in the Box Canyon area, in the Lakeview area, around there, you want to just keep an eye on this cell to the west because right now it is indicating some pretty large hail. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at velocity. Give me 1 second. So velocity, when we look at velocity, I'm going to show this cursor real quick. You want to get an idea of how fast these winds are, right? So looking at these winds, looking at the velocity right now, it is showing about 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That is widespread all over central Val Verde County. That's where on Comstock right now as we speak. And as you can see too, there is kind of not really organization as far as circulation goes, meaning that no tornado threat looks to be in the picture right now. Not to say that any spin ups won't possibly happen, but right now, if you are worried about that, if there's a tornado or anything like that, right now anything's going to be straight line winds. But straight line winds can, cause just as much damage as sometimes as low grade tornadoes. So remember, this storm is going to have the possibility of having, 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. But right now, we're looking at wind gusts being around 40, 50 miles per hour as radar is indicating at this moment. Okay, so let's go and look at what I was talking about earlier, which, the big story is going to be the hail, the wind, but one thing that I want you to look at is the rain. So this storm right now, just to give you an idea, what this radar does is it gives you an idea of how much rain is falling within this storm. And it's giving you totals from where the storm was a few, hours ago, 30, 45 minutes ago. Rainfall rates were about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. That is a lot of rainfall. And that is, a good thing here for Del Rio. But as you always, if you lived here long enough, you know that sometimes we get all our rain in one day. So sometimes that can cause some, street flooding, some low-lying areas having the potential to be, having some water on them. So once this line does move through Del Rio, if it stays intact, you do want to be on the safe side. If you're driving on Veterans Boulevard, you're driving out by Highway 90, you're driving out by the lake, you just want to be on the safe side because once this line does move on through, it is going to have the potential for producing some very heavy rainfall. So it's going to go back. If you have any questions, go ahead and post on our feed. This is going to be, a live feed that we are just going to be looking through things throughout the whole entire evening as this thing continues to move on through. Let's go ahead and look and see. So line is already making its way through to Box Canyon. It is already through the Comstock area. So if you are in Comstock, you are, already seeing the middle portion of the storm. This storm should be, kind of pushing towards its intensity away from you in about 30, 40 minutes. Most of the heavy rainfall right now appears to be, just to the east of Comstock. That's going to be around Highway 90 going north. And that their rainfall rates are probably around 1 inch to 1.25 inches. And like I said, we're gonna welcome that rain as much as we can get here in Del Rio and in Val Verde County. But you just want to be on the safe side because all that rain at one moment can cause some very dangerous situations on our road. Okay, let's go and look back on our hail parameter here. So we're going to look at something called the hydrometeorite classification. And what this does is that it shows you just kind of a more or less a guesstimate, right, on what, the storm may have. All these dark greens are considered, heavy raindrops where the radar is scanning up into the storm. And it's giving you an idea of how, big those particles are in the storm. And as you can see, it is showing that heavy rainfall is possible. But you see those little red embedded parts in the storm? That could be an indication of hail. So hail is possible in these lines. Now, where exactly, like I said, these things can, vary on intensity as this line continues to go on through. It can intense in certain parts. But the good thing that this shows you is that if you are, worried on any type of hail, whether it's penny-sized hail, quarter-sized hail, or, unfortunately, hand-sized hail, you don't want any of that. Right now, we're not seeing that as of right now. But you just want to be prepared. And even on that latest radar scan, it's even starting to pick up more to the west. So you just want to make sure you are on the safe side. You still have a few minutes here in Del Rio and in Lakeview. You have, I would say, maybe about 15, 20 more minutes until you start feeling some rain in around Lakeview. Del Rio, you're still about 20, 30 minutes away. So you still have time. If you are driving, if you are, just coming back from HEB or anything along those lines, making those last minute errands, you still have time to get home and just make sure that everything is set if you are worried for any, sort of damage. But the one thing, like I said, I want you to be focused on, besides, the hail, that's usually what gets more of the story, is going to be the wind and the rain. Wind speeds are expected to be around 30, 40 miles per hour, even 50 miles per hour. But that rainfall rate is going to be around 1 inch. So once that thing moves on through, you could see some more rain in the forecast. So we're going to go and look at see if we have any live questions. I know I got a few messages. Okay, so right now, one of the popular questions I'm getting is there any hail? Right now, we are seeing some indications of little hail pockets in the storm, just eyeballing on radar. We have this portion right here, right west of Box Canyon, that's still in Mexico right now, that is showing a possible little hail core. If I show you on the radar, I don't know if you can see this too well. I'm gonna see if I can zoom in real quick. See if I can zoom in that y'all can see this. Give me 1 second. So this little ping right here, so Radar Scope does a really good job at having their users ping and do weather reports when storms move on through. And this ping showed quarter-size hail at roughly around 6:46. That was when that hail core moved right through this area near portions of like Box Canyon up there. And it showed quarter-size hail. Now, quarter-size hail is equivalent to about penny-size hail. So that just gives you an idea of what, hail size right now is active in this storm. Luckily, we don't see anything bigger than penny size as of right now. But if you do have any, reports, if you do have any pictures, send them to DRN25 Del Rio News Network, or send them on my Del Rio weather page. Maybe we can go ahead and show you a few pictures as well. I know a few of y'all have sent me pictures and comment on my thread right now, and I appreciate that. We are working to show you some of these pictures that people are sending in. You saw Paulo Ponce, giving me a great, indicator of some lightning. If you have any sort of, information like that, please send it our way. It not only helps us, but it helps you. This platform is to help you, keep you all weather aware here in Del Rio and as well as in the surrounding counties. Okay, let's go ahead and look on what's going on more.
So we do have one question. This is from. Got a question from Isela Davila. What's the severe weather outlook after this front in the next 24 hours?
Awesome. So I have a question from Ms. Davila. Appreciate you watching our feed as well. Right now we are looking at another possibility of a marginal threat for severe weather. So today's severe weather threat was a level 2. You'll hear me say these different levels throughout this whole entire time: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Right? Today was a level 2. A big just indication of strong winds, some hail. Tomorrow we'll go back to an isolated threat, meaning that, if we see any sort of rain or any type of, thunderstorm does develop, it'll have a chance for some, severe weather parameters. But in an isolated, event, I like to say it's like I throw, if I were to throw a ball in this wall and it randomly hit that area is going to be the only area that sees hail. So it'll be a little bit lower than yesterday, if that's an easier way to answer the question. We got one more, Willard?
We also got a couple more questions. We got one from Julian Hernandez Jr. He's asking, is there a hail core, or does it seem it won't intensify to that point?
Okay, so let's go and look at that. I know the hail core, if you were watching earlier on my post before we went live, it was pretty strong, but it has weakened in the past couple of radar scans. Let's go and look at what's going on as of right now. Let's get the bill. Looks a little better. Give me 1 second. Cool. Okay, so right now we're looking at the VIL, which gives us an idea of that hail core. Remember that white, that real bright white is what we're going to look at. When you see those real bright whites, that indicates very large hail. And it looks like there is a hail core, and this is roughly to the east of Comstock. That's maybe, I would say, 10 miles to the east, right in the middle. I would say just right north of where I believe the natural park is at in Val Verde County. So it looks like it's in rural areas as of right now. If we hit play, it looks like this hail core is either going to be moving east or southeast. So right now it looks like it is going to avoid the city. But we do have another cell that's just to the east of the city, and we just got to make sure that cell is either pushing towards the southeast or if it's moving more to the east. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play just to kind of see more or less where this thing is headed. So this cell actually right here to the south, and it's to the west of Del Rio, just popped up. So that's one thing that we're going to be looking at. When we look at these hail threats, we're going to look at what's going and what develops. So it's going to be real key as this line continues to move towards the south is where are these new developments going to occur? That's going to be, the interesting thing. As you can see, this storm right here just developed within the past maybe about 10, 15 minutes. So our fingers are going to be crossed. We avoid any large hail in Del Rio, but we will not be in the clear until this line completely moves on through.
And we've got a couple more comments. Cassie or Casey Jerry says, "It's your fault my knees hurt." And then we have Froilan, who is saying, here in Acuna near Del Rio, it's already starting to hear the thunder and some lightning.
Awesome. So one thing that we were talking about too is these storms in the summer. When we get any kind of rain in the summer, man, I'm cheering because usually in the summer we are in it's called a death ridge, a high pressure. We're just in 100-degree weather for like the whole entire 2 or 3 months. So when we get any kind of rain, it's awesome. But when we do get rain in the summer, you're going to expect two things for sure, whether we're under a severe threat or not. It's going to be high winds and lightning and thunder. And then they're going to sound loud. So as soon as this continues to move on through, it's getting very close to Lakeview. Lakeview, you're probably maybe about 5 minutes away from getting this line moving on through. You are going to be hearing a lot of thunder and lightning, and you should be experiencing that wind. I'm going to see if we can possibly see a wind gust in front of this. Usually you see those in with storms ahead of the main line. Give me about 1 second. So as you can see here, we do have that, I would say, gust front moving through Lakeview right now. So Lakeview, you are feeling that huge wind gust right now, right before you get rain. Usually whenever the storm comes in, you feel that real big punch of wind come through. That is currently going over Lakeview right now. Those winds right now, looking at Lakeview, give me 1 second, are gonna appear to be around 50, 40 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's a pretty big punch there right now. So if you're in Lakeview, you're probably feeling around 40 to 50 mile per hour winds right now before this storm moves on through. Those winds are moving towards the south toward Del Rio. So like I said, if you are in Del Rio, if you're outdoors, if you are, just finishing practice, or you're just driving to your house, you have about maybe 10 minutes before these winds start coming on through. They are already impacting the north side of the city as we speak. Okay, let's see. Rainfall rates do appear to still be around 1 inch of rain too. So if you do live in Del Rio and any low-lying areas that are prone to flooding, you do want to make precautions right now. You do want to make sure that, anything that's liable of getting, flooded or getting anything sensitive like that, you want to make sure you are careful of that as we speak. And check if we have any more questions. Just give me 1 second. So I am getting an update from the National Weather Service as we're speaking right now. So the National Weather Service has continued the severe thunderstorm watch. You actually saw the polygon just extend. The polygon is now extending to Kenny County and extending to all southern and southern and western, northern western of Val Verde County, northeastern, sorry. And with that, it is showing now that there is the possibility of wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour. So it looks like as of right now, just me eyeballing, that the hail threat is diminishing, and now we're going into more of a wind threat and a heavy rain threat. So you do want to be precautioned. Areas out in Highway 90 going toward Brackettville, this storm is heading toward you as well. These rural areas that are, there's a lot of, maybe some trailers out there, some loose, equipment. You want to make sure that you are making preparations right now. You are probably about 15, 20 minutes of those winds making through your area.
We do have quite a few comments to read through. Let's see. Ivan Valdez is saying it looks like a squall cloud is trying to form.
Okay.
And let me make sure there's no other related ones. Let's see. Tanya Serrano, thank you guys for providing Del Rio with valuable information. We appreciate you. George Roman Rubio, just checking in. I was about to say that to check the velocity to see how strong the winds are.
Appreciate you, George. George, former basketball player of mine, and a real bright young meteorologist, as I would always tell him. And let's go and look at those velocity maps real quick. Give me 1 second. So right now, I'm going to see if I can draw here to kind of show you something. Let me see if I can draw and just show you. Okay, so you saw me draw a little portion here on radar scope. You see a thin line right here, this little thin line that's extending right here through my fingertips right here. That is considered a gust front. Those are clouds ahead of the line, and as those clouds approach, they look real threatening. Sometimes they get a little confused with them being somewhat like a funnel cloud or whatnot. This is an indication of very strong winds. Once this line moves on through, you will feel as if someone turned on the AC or turned on the fan. You're going to feel real rapid gusts of winds. And as I can possibly hear outside right now in our studio, I've appeared that gust front may be moving on through right now as we're speaking. And that is what probably you are seeing. If you have any pictures of that, please send them our way. They make beautiful photos, but also too, just be careful because once those clouds are getting close to you, it's an indication of very strong winds that are just about to move through your area. You can also see it faintly. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit too. You can also see it faintly here on the radar where that little thin line right here that's extending all the way from the county line right here from near Cienegas all the way up to a little bit portions of north of near Lakeview. That is the indication of that gust front. That is probably what you are seeing too outside. And as soon as that moves on through, you're going to feel those winds. Those winds are going to completely begin to ramp up. And that gust front looks like it is just about to move through Del Rio. It's about maybe, I would say, the northern portions of the city, and it is moving quickly towards the south. Let's go ahead and get you back to that normal. So let's go ahead and look and see if we have any, hail. I know that's always the big worry here with any kind of storm we get in Del Rio. So let me go play this real quick.
I do have a question. Ana Guajardo is saying Lakeview, or not a question, a comment. Lakeview currently starting to get windy. And Karen Carter just wants to say thank you for providing great information on the weather. She is here in Del Rio at her daughter's. She is from Sherwood, North Dakota.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. Right now, we're looking at just the possibility of some hail. It looks like the hail core a little. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit so y'all can see that. Give me 1 second. Okay, there you go. Let me zoom up a little bit. Okay, so right now looking at the hail cores. There's hail cores very, very almost completely diminished already inside the county. There looks like it's more of a heavy rain just north of Lakeview into the northern portion parts of the lake, which is a good thing. That's going to be something that we're definitely going to welcome. But we are just looking at just the possibility of hail just towards the west of Del Rio, maybe a little bit near, Acuña, a little bit more on the western portions of the city. But they are having the potential for some hail if they're around that area. Remember, the hail potential is close to an egg size in the largest areas. And as you can see on that latest, radar scan, you saw the explosion. That hail core in west of Del Rio, the more closer to Acuña than Del Rio, is beginning to intensify. So if you are around Acuña, not saying that this is going to be moving through your area, but you just want to be on the precaution side because you probably are having the potential for some hail if that does hold on through.
We got quite a few more comments coming in. We have Paulo Ponce, who said, wind just picked up drastically in the Lake Ridge area. Erica OW is saying Lake Ridge area super windy. George Roman Rubio is saying double whammy, north storm coming in and west storm coming in too. Ivan Valdez, these clouds look very dark and look bad, and I'll continue reading more comments in just a bit.
Cool. I'm gonna see if Willard too can help me out, and I'm gonna send him just a picture of what a gust front or that those shelf clouds that are moving on through what you're probably seeing. That picture was sent by George. Appreciate you, George. Thank you so much for helping us out here. Give me 1 second. So right now, what we're looking as we're getting closer to what's going on, you are seeing that storm to the west beginning to strengthen a little bit, and that storm just to the north of Del Rio, it is beginning to fall apart as far as intensity-wise. It's more the west storm that is kind of strengthening at the moment. But it looks like that storm to the west is pushing towards the south. East, sorry about that, is pushing towards the southeast. So that storm that's a little bit strong, that's showing that hail may just miss Del Rio, but it may have a chance of impacting the further western portions of Acuña. So you just want to make sure that you are careful. That wind threat, like that they were saying, is moving on through the northern part of the city, through probably Acuña as well as right now as we're speaking. So that wind is just about to move on through. It is looking that storm is beginning to slow down just slightly as it's getting toward Del Rio, which is also just going to give us a threat of possibility of heavy rainfall and rainfall sticking in Del Rio. There's always the talk about the Del Rio bubble, the force field that kind of just prevents any kind of rain. It looks like it's trying to do its best, because it looks like right in the portions in the middle between these two storms is kind of a little bit of a dry slit. Not saying that this area is completely dry, but it's not getting much rain compared to north of the storm and also west of the storm right now as we speak. So keep those questions coming. I know that I'm looking through my feed as well just to see if I can give you any live questions on my feed, but okay, cool. We're gonna show you some photos just around what's going on here in Del Rio as well. Appreciate you guys staying with us as well. If you're just joining in, this is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca. We are at DRN 25, just giving you live weather coverage here for the city of Del Rio. So right now on my screen, this is a photo that was turned in by George Rubio. Appreciate you, George, for keeping us updated here in Del Rio. You can see that cloud cover. So what you're seeing here is actually these clouds that are ahead of the storm. You even see that glow on the top part of the storm. This is called a shelf cloud. These are the clouds that as soon as they move on through, they look threatening, they look intimidating. I was talking about earlier that sometimes they get mistaken for funnel clouds or any kind of indication of a funnel cloud. This is actually an indication of straight line winds that are just about to move on through. These usually are accompanied with 50, 60 mile per hour winds, sometimes close up to 70. Then we got a few more questions coming our way.
Yes, I got a couple questions. Ana Lita is asking if there's any hail. April Gutierrez is saying, what about surrounding towns? I assume like Eagle Pass, Uvalde, all that area. And then we also have, what about Laughlin from Megan Beals? And then I'll continue reading comments in just a bit.
Cool. So let's go ahead and look at, let's look at hail real quick. So right now that hail threat is holding on through just slightly. That is showing right here toward the west of Del Rio. This storm is moving towards the southeast, and this hail threat is going to have a chance, if it holds on through, of impacting portions of Acuña. It's going to be close whether if it stays on towards the western portion of the Rio Grande or the eastern portion. So if you're in Del Rio, you do want to just keep an eye out for this, because this is showing the possibility of hail greater than an inch. It looks like that hail core is trying to fight through on that northern portion of the storm, a little bit north of Lakeview. That's north, I would say east of Lakeview right now. So those hail threats are still not over. So you still want to be on the indicator, especially if you're out like by Laughlin or whatnot. You do want to keep an eye on this portion of the storm as it is pushing towards the southeast. Gonna be kind of iffy if it does hold on through, but we are just keeping our eye on the west too as far as hail. As we look at what's going on, or what is the indication for these storms as they move through Del Rio, and kind of zoom out to show you. This line is projected to continue to move towards the southeast, and with that it does mean that portions out in Brackettville, portions out in Eagle Pass, Crystal City, you are going to be in the playfield for these storms once they move on through. And because of how much room they do have to work, they could re-intensify, they could weaken. So you do want to have multiple ways to receive weather information. And as always, you can always follow the National Weather Service. National Weather Service on Facebook, Twitter. They're really good at giving out information when needed if you have any recommendations. You can also follow here too on Del Rio News Network.
So we got a couple more other questions, and then I also have a photo submission as well from
Cool.
Frank Hernandez. So I'm going to load that up.
Awesome.
And then so we have Dave and Des McQuidden. What happened at Buena Vista Park? It's flooded.
Okay.
Wind just hit us on Eagle Pass Hill. Will we have any tornadoes? By Eduardo Enriquez. And people are asking about Eagle Pass, Texas, or Antonio Flores is asking about Eagle Pass, Texas. And Lakeview is starting to get a little bit of drizzle.
Cool. So let's go and talk about Buena Vista. I was just, indicating that with Willard earlier. I believe what happened, and this is just online sources. This is nothing official from the city or whatnot. I believe what happened is that a water line had gotten affected, and that it is currently, just releasing a lot of water around Buena Vista Park. That's just going to play a factor if we do get some rainfall that does move, heavy rainfall that does move through the city. If that does, it's going to play some, a factor in potential flooding, around that area. So you do want to be careful. I know we're hearing some lightning as well. Let's go ahead and look at our radar, and then we'll look at the velocity. I know we had a question on possible tornadoes, and we're not going to answer all that for you as well. Right now, this storm towards the west is, catching my eye because it is starting to push more towards the east. This storm did have, that hail core at the moment. It's actually right on my finger, as you can see here. It's a little bit more deep into Mexico to be, a player right now in the city. But we just want to keep an eye on this because if it does keep on moving on through, it could have a potential factor of, producing some hail around Del Rio. Looking at this factor storm up to the north, still kind of, playing around a little bit. Looks like it is weakening a little bit as well. Still going to have a chance of producing some real high winds and some lightning with the storm. And it's going to look at that velocity radar just to give you an idea of what is going on. As soon as I finish showing you this, I will show you another live submission of a photo that we did get. So just to give you an idea, let me just show you real quick these velocities, just to give you an idea if you are worried about any possible, tornado threat or anything along those lines. So right now, when we look at the velocity of these storms, we want to look at tight red couplets that are mixed with green. And right now, there is, some very weak rotation here. Nothing to keep you, on your toes or whatnot. It looks like it's more of a straight line winds. These are winds that are going towards the radar. You even saw the radar, the latest scan kind of push these winds towards the east. So right now, it looks like, any sort of tornado threat is out of the picture as of right now. More of a straight line wind threat, which is going to be, winds up to 60, 50 miles per hour. As you can see, that gust front ahead of that line, that gust front looks like it's about to move through Laughlin Air Force Base. So you saw that picture from George that had those clouds moving on through. If you're out by Laughlin Air Force Base, you're probably seeing that shelf cloud getting closer and closer to you. And as soon as it passes you, you're going to feel those winds completely spike up. So let's go ahead and see that that submission of from one of our viewers that submitted a photo. We can get that up, Willard. Cool. So this is actually, it looks like it's out by
Central Del Rio.
This is Central Del Rio. So this is an idea of that gust front moving on through. It's once it moves on through, it gives you that illusion of some bumpy clouds or whatnot. They call that maybe the whale's mouth, and that's just an indication of that gust front moving on through. Right now, as the storm continues to slowly move towards Del Rio, it kind of paused for a little bit. It looks like it's trying to reorganize and position itself and taking more of an eastern approach now as it's getting closer to Del Rio.
We do have a couple of other questions. Ana Guajardo, I think she already said that. Kelly Gordon, it looks like they're splitting as usual. Antonio Flores is just asking for an Eagle Pass, Texas update.
Okay, cool. So let's go and talk about Eagle Pass. I know I've had that few questions a few times, and then we'll talk about that split in a second. Give me 1 second. So Eagle Pass, let me get that. Okay, cool. So Eagle Pass right now, you are a little bit towards the south of this storm. This storm is probably roughly like maybe about 100, maybe 50 miles away from you. This line is expected to move more towards the southeast as we get overnight. It is, compared to the recent model runs, slightly weakening. So Eagle Pass, you are going to be in the, threat of this line, but it looks like your threat's going to be more of a 2 hour, maybe 2.5 hour, timeline compared to right now in Del Rio. And it's also going to be if this line even holds on through. It is projected to, as the National Weather Service did issue, the severe thunderstorm watch extending all the way through Maverick County. So you do want to, be on the lookout if you are in Eagle Pass and maybe about in the next hour or two, just to see if that line does hold its strength and move on through. So we're talking about splitting. I know, I believe Ms. Gordon had a comment that. Give me 1 second. Storm, it does look like it is splitting at the moment, but it looks like it's starting to reorganize now. So that split did occur. They have that line of storms. What she's talking about is they split it in the center, but now this storm to the west is now taking more of a dominant approach and now making its push more towards the east. With that, we want to just make sure on those hail cores. Those hail cores are staying right now away deep in Mexico, but we want to see if they're going to continue to hold on through, if they continue to move on east. As you can see, that rain is right on the cusp of getting close to Del Rio. So western portions of Del Rio, you are beginning to get that rain, and that rain is going to be expected to increase. Now, it is starting to see that, like the rain is kind of beginning to decrease a little bit as far as intensity, but you just want to make sure that you don't lose your, grip just yet. We got to make sure to see what this line does once it moves on through. And then we got another submission, if I'm not mistaken. Let me get that on you real quick. Okay, awesome. So again, I believe this is a video from Rachel Garcia. We appreciate you, keeping us informed and sending that video as well. So this is just a video of, looks like that gust front moving on through. You see those clouds moving quickly. When that gust front moves on through, and that's actually this right here, the little line right here that's moving on through ahead of the storm. Those are the winds pushing that storm ahead, in which causes that illusion of, maybe like a, funnel cloud, a spin up or whatnot. But they do really good on social media as getting, a lot of likes on, videos and content. And that's just an indication of what another, squall line as far as a gust front, does for the area.
So we do have a couple of other comments. We've got Ivan Valdez saying picking up 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts near Del Rio Middle School. Alyssa Rangel is asking about any hail. Desi Gonzalez, is there going to be a tornado? Ana Gonzalez, the reservation area, very strong winds and it feels fresh outside. Adrian Lopez, what about the rotation? And I'll read one more. This one seems like a little bit of a joke. McKitten is saying, how does the storm impact near Chicago?
So let's look at that hail threat real quick. We are just paying attention to this storm to the west of Del Rio. Like I was saying earlier, these storms were splitting. So they did in fact split, but we are looking at this western storm taking a more of an eastern approach. If that continues, that's going to be, a factor to look at, as we are going to be wondering if that storm does produce, hail to move on through. Right now, it is kind of playing around, dancing around the west. Usually that's what they do if you've lived here in Del Rio majority of your life. But we are just going to have to continue to keep an eye out if that thing does continue to make a predominantly close approach toward the east. If you look at the past radar scans, it has slowly been dancing towards the south, east. But we're just still not going to give it all clear yet. We're still going to be monitoring that to the west. Looking at velocity, give me 1 second. There is no indication of any type of, circulation at the moment. As you can see, all of the winds on the base of the storm, ahead of the storm, are predominantly moving towards the radar. That's where you see the greens. Red is where it's moving away from the radar. And we don't see any tight couplets of rotation or nothing. This is going to be a complete straight line wind threat at the moment. Now, spin ups are always possible, but as of right now, that does not look like the picture. So any spin ups or any type of tornado does not look like it's ongoing. This is going to be just straight line winds that could have, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts possible as well. Now we have little technical difficulties, but let's go ahead and look at, that rainfall. If we do not get any hail or anything like that, the rainfall is going to be the picture. So let's see if I can get you an idea of those rainfall rates right now. So right now, rainfall rates around just north of Lakeview. Let me get that number for you real quick. They're about at 1/4 of an inch rainfall rates about just north of Lakeview. Some areas seeing about, an inch of rain just on the northern portions of the lake. This is always going to be a great thing here from Del Rio. We're hoping that this rain makes it to the city of Del Rio. We would not mind the rain at all. We didn't know we want to just avoid any hail, but that just gives you an idea of this line, having the potential to produce a lot of rainfall if it moves on through and if it stays intact. Keep those questions coming. We are on the doorstep of this storm finally moving on through. It is completely right now entering the city of Del Rio from the northwest.
We have Froilan. She's saying she's in Acuña and it is already raining.
Awesome. Let me see if I can get zoom in on this to kind of show you maybe an idea on what parts of Del Rio we can see possible rain already. So if you are in the Cienegas area right now, you are now beginning to feel light rain. Also, too, if you are in northern portions of Del Rio, it looks like even Lakeview, let me scroll this down a little bit. In Lakeview, you are now getting that, really good, amount of rain. Again, those orange yellows already in the city, in around the Lakeview portion. We are looking at that western portion of the storm still beginning to push slightly towards the east. That's always going to be a factor. It also looks like, too, that gust front's already moved past, Laughlin Air Force Base. So Laughlin Air Force Base, you already felt that wind, and you can probably see some, rain on the horizon toward the northern portions of the city. Valverde Estates, you are probably maybe about 5 minutes away from rain. You can probably see maybe that rain slowly begin to move on through. And the inner city of Del Rio, you guys are finally starting to feel that light rain beginning to move on through. This storm system is going to take some time. Once it starts moving through, it is going to stay around for Del Rio, I would say another hour, 2 hours. So make sure you are just, prepared if you are outdoors making those errands right now, just to make sure that you are going to be, driving through rainy conditions for probably the next hour. Okay, cool. It looks like we may take you guys outside just to kind of see what's going on here in our studios. Let me just kind of zoom out real quick, and I'll be with you on shortly. And with that, we're going to see if we can give you some live, footage outside from our studios. So we'll be right back shortly. Thank you all for tuning in for DRN 25. This is Severe Weather Center with meteorologist Alexander Menchaca. We'll be with you back shortly. Last night, we had a good round of thunderstorms move on through. Right now, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That 5-day forecast for you for this week. This is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca.
This is your local weather report with Del Rio's trusted meteorologist, Alexander Menchaca.
So this is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca. We're outside at Del Rio Network 25 Studios. Right here outside by Cantu, as you can see, lightning is already beginning to occur here. We're starting to get that rain. That rain is finally beginning to move on through. It started about light to now moving into moderate, but you can feel those wind gusts. Just looking outside, this is easily about 20, 30 mile per hour wind gusts, as you can see. But this rain, this lightning and all that is going to be impacting Del Rio for the next hour. We are just looking to see if there's any heavier portions of this storm to move on through. But this is probably going to be what you're going to be dealing with for about another hour or so in Del Rio. And if you have any questions, you have any pictures, any videos, as you can see right now, the sky is beautiful right now. You can probably take some really great pictures, but you want to make sure you are careful. There's a lot of lightning going on right now, and it's always a real safety hazard here in the summer. Summer is usually, any type of storm we get, it's going to be filled with lightning and wind. So keep it tuned here on Del Rio News Network, and we'll be back with y'all shortly. Appreciate y'all. And we're back here at our studios. Just wanted to give you a live feed on what it looked outside, how the lightning was. So that storm system is beginning to finally move on through to Del Rio. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit more here. Let me zoom in a little out. So that storm system's moving through Del Rio. You know, you are going to continue to see some moderate to heavy rain. Right now, the heaviest rain is towards the west. It looks like that hail core is now beginning to diminish. That may make a lot of people excited, which I know it's making me excited. But you are seeing that heavy rain pocket still move on through. If that heavy rain pocket moves on through, you could see some rain, indicators around an inch to half an inch, which is going to be, a blessing here in Del Rio if we're able to get that to hold on through. I know we have some more questions possibly from Willard.
So we have Davandez McKitten. It's raining now in central Del Rio. Dora Gaitan, rain by Highway 90 East. And Froilan is saying it's raining a little fast and the gusts are slow, but it's becoming stronger in some moments. Ana Gonzalez is saying just started getting rain in the reservation area. And Gabriela is saying Cienegas is windy and a lot of thunder.
Awesome. Yeah, you are going to continue to see some rain just to continue to move on through. It's starting to engulf most parts of Del Rio. Light rain looks like it's going to begin to occur now in the Valverde Estates. That is around, Highway 90. If you're on the Highway 90 portion, you are going to beginning to see that rain beginning to occur. Laughlin, you still got maybe, I would say, another 10 minutes before rainfall. So if you have any last minute precautions outside, you can still have time to get that, taken care of. But for as far as Del Rio goes, you are beginning to see that rain. And out by Lakeview, you are getting that, good heavy rain right now, especially too out by Box Canyon. Box Canyon, you're probably getting close to that, inch, rainfall rate that I was talking about. Hoping that that inch rainfall rate does move on through. We'll go ahead and see our latest scan for any, hail. Let's go ahead and bear with me 1 second. Awesome. Looks like we have another video coming up through. I know a lot of people are going to be happy to hear this, but it looks like that hail core to the west has diminished almost completely. This is just an indication now of very heavy rainfall. We are going to be hoping that this does move on through Del Rio, hoping that it doesn't re-intensify, but we are going to be hoping that that heavy rainfall rate does move on through. But as far as hail, this is beginning to diminish completely. It looks like that main hail threat is now towards the eastern portion of the county, starting to move into, portions of Kenny County and Edwards County. But right now, it looks like that hail core as well, that main one is now going to miss, Laughlin Air Force Base, and is going to miss too around Valverde Estates. If you are on Highway 90 though, in between Del Rio and Brackettville, you do want to be on alert. This hail core may have a chance of clipping, Highway 90 and possibly even Brackettville and Spofford. So you do want to make sure you're careful of that. I know we have another video coming up. Let me just get this to the main radar view so that way we can see what's going on. All right, let's get ready for that video. And also too, continue to send us any information, any pictures, videos. We will welcome that completely, as we can give you not only radar footage but just live footage of what is going on here in Del Rio. Got a good amount of lightning and thunder too with these storms. So it looks like this video is another submission of the gust front. This is out by the Laughlin area. Beautiful video of what a gust front is. So these are shelf clouds. These are the ones that move ahead of the storm. They, like I said, they always look ominous. They always look, threatening. They always get confused of, possible, funnel cloud or whatnot. But this is just a prelude of a storm telling you, hey, I have very strong winds. And you can even see on this, video at the edge of that storm, that little, couplet, like almost like a mothership, kind of like moving on through on the far eastern part. That is just an indication of very strong winds. And this is from Jesse Gutierrez. We appreciate you, Jesse, on sending this here on Connect Del Rio. It's a beautiful video. You may even see this video on our news show this weekend. This is an awesome video. Appreciate you on that. And as we continue to highlight you here in Del Rio, this line is already beginning to move well into Del Rio. You should see moderate to heavy rainfall now begin in Del Rio. Cienegas, you probably are now getting slammed with that, inch rainfall rate, which is going to be great news as it looks like this main rain threat is going to be moving on towards the east.
Let's see. We've got Raul Yanya saying thank you for the update. Appreciate it. Esme Cano, thank you for keeping us informed. Kelly Gordon, we are in desperate need of rain. Thank you for keeping us informed. Hermelida Linda Garza, light rain by UPS on East Cortinas. Alice Williams, pray Jesus for rain. And those are the the comments that we've got for now.
Awesome. It looks like, keep those prayers coming. We are looking that there is a lot of heavy rain now developing just towards the west of Del Rio, and it looks like it is moving towards the city of Del Rio. So, God is good. So keep that rain coming. Right now it looks like, there's no hail threat in for Del Rio at the moment. Let me just double check that, and then we'll get some look at maybe some live wind speeds and keep you all set here in Del Rio News Network, Del Rio DRN 25. Yes, so that hail threat now is completely diminished. So there's no hail threat here towards the west of Del Rio, just heavy, heavy rainfall, which is like a blessing. We want that to continue to move on through. It looks like the main hail threat, like I was saying earlier, is at the north eastern portion of the county. This is between Val Verde County and portions of Kenny County and Edwards County. So you just want to make sure you are careful with that area if you are around the Brackettville or traveling in from San Antonio. And let's go ahead and look at... Okay, cool. Let's go and look at rainfall rates. So rainfall rates are beginning to look really, really good around the area. It looks like this area right to the west that is moving into Del Rio, that rainfall rate is about ½ an inch. That's going to be, awesome rainfall here for Del Rio. You're even hearing that lightning begin to crack a little bit more, aggressively. That's just an indication of that heavier, portion of the storm beginning to move on through. I know we have another video submission, so we're going to get that to you shortly. So you're starting to hear that wind outside in the studio very, very predominantly. That is just the portion of that storm moving on through. That's the portion of the storm that had, that hail threat. Now that the hail threat's gone and it's more of a heavy rain threat, it's cool. It has, even now that hail core is gone, we have that heavy rain threat that's pushing onto the city of Del Rio that is still packing that force of winds. Now we got another video to check out. So let me just get this animation going real quick so I can go ahead and check out that video. This is from Furlan. We appreciate that. This is, this is probably the winds that I'm hearing outside right now. This is a beautiful indicator of winds, probably around 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts sustainedly. And you're seeing that good rainfall. You're seeing that real flash of lightning. In the summer, like I was saying earlier, you get those really good, lightning storms. So, this is out in Baja Acuña too, so that is actually an indicator too. We saw that the heavier portion of that storm move on through or beginning to move on through. So these kind of conditions that you're seeing right now on the video are more likely going to translate here to the city of Del Rio now. Most of the time our rain does come from the west and from Acuña, so usually they give us a good prelude of what's going to go on. So we appreciate you for giving us that information in our broadcast here.
Things are getting a little noisy here at the studio. We've got a couple of comments coming in. We've got light rain in Ceniza Hills from Kelly Gordon. Rachel Garcia, heavy rain started in Ceniza Hills. Let's see, Brandy Mann, how's it looking for Brackettville? Michael Lopez, any hail? Jesse Garza, lots of wind in the Val Verde County. And Brandy Mann is also asking if there's going to be any hail. Rachel Garcia is saying there's no hail in Ceniza Hills. And Enrique Trevino is saying, great work. Thank you for all that you do.
Appreciate that, Mr. Trevino. Right now, as we look through earlier when we were talking about, I know the video is still ongoing. This is, if you're just tuning in, this video out of Acuña, probably a good prelude of exactly what's going on outside our studios right now, too, as you can hear that rainfall from our door right here. As we get this video removed, I can kind of show you what we're looking at as far as radar around the local area. Just give us 1 second. And as you can see, let's go ahead and answer that Bracketville question. Bracketville, that gust front that you're seeing, those clouds that were ahead of the storm that give you that real strong wind gusts, they are headed your way. This actually storm system is heading toward Bracketville too, and it is pushing towards the south. East too, and that's also going to impact portions of Eagle Pass or whatnot. Rainfall right now, the heaviest rainfall right now is moving into the city of Del Rio, and that is also accompanied with the strongest winds. Winds right now, just hearing it outside the studio, probably about 30, 40 mile, maybe some 50 mile, even possibly some 60 mile per hour winds. A good indicator of 60 mile per hour winds, if you see small branches, if small branches are falling around the area, that's a real good indication of winds being around 60 to 70 miles per hour. Hail, right now looking at hail, let me just get that real quick because I know we have that question right now. Hail threat is completely diminished around Del Rio, around the Lakeview area, and around the Laughlin Air Force Base area. The hail threat is towards the northern partial part of the county, and this is toward Kenny County too. That's going to move away from the city, so that's going to be away from the city of Del Rio and any of the vicinity as well. This hail core is going to have a chance though of impacting Bracketville, a little bit out toward Highway 90. Those are the areas that you want to be aware if any type of threat for hail is coming through. So you have any family coming in from San Antonio or traveling out, you just want to make sure that if they're on Highway 90 around Bracketville to Violet to Del Rio, that they are keeping an eye on this storm that's moving on through. You are hearing those winds move on through, and you had a good strike of lightning right there. That was probably real close to the city. This is just an indication of that heavy rainfall moving on through to the city of Del Rio. It looks like, let me see if I can get those wind speeds, because those wind speeds did look relatively high. Yes. So right now, I'm gonna see if I can zoom this in real quick. You're hearing that wisp of the wind right now, that real high wisp of the wind. This is 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts right now here in Del Rio. This wind gust just created right now over the city of Del Rio, and that's why you saw that complete change in Del Rio. So that wind gust right now is affecting northern portions of Del Rio out through Highway 90. This is 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts right now as we speak. You're probably feeling those winds right now if you're around those portions of the city of Del Rio. Now we may have some questions.
We've got a couple of questions. We have Raul Yanez, heavy rain by Main Street, high winds by Main Street. Jessica Magdaleno, no hail at Lake Ridge, just horrible wind and rain. Super low clouds though. Esmicano, heavy rains and strong wind here at San Felipe and 6th Street. Alyssa Pena, Ivan Valdez, very strong heavy rain near UPS Center on Cortinas. And Julian is saying same on Eagle Pass Hill.
So rain and heavy rain is going to be the picture for the next 30, 40 minutes. I just can't keep my eye out here. Sorry about that. I can't hear my eye out here on that, wind gust. That wind gust here in Del Rio is relatively strong, and it completely, developed right over the city of Del Rio, which is something, that we usually see, out in the rural areas, out by Lakeview, out by Valverde Estates. I'm just trying to get an idea of what these indicators are seeing. Right here on my cursor right here, you are seeing 66 mile per hour winds. And remember, this is just radar indicated. That means that this area may have had 70 mile per hour winds as well. So you want to make sure, that you are safe. You're hearing that lightning, you're hearing that wind gust begin to, strengthen. Just make sure you are away from the doors, away from areas. I'm going to go and check. We are still under a severe thunderstorm warning, so you do want to make sure you are, staying relatively safe, even if you, feel that there's no hail around the local area as well. So it's beginning to. There's some people messaging me here that out by Avondale Street by Western Drive, that power has completely, lost. So it looks like we are having some power outages here around Del Rio due to that lightning and that high wind. So that is going to continue here for Del Rio. So if you are continuing to, watch our feed, we are going to continue, to have heavy rain to continue to move on through. That is around Western Drive by Livingstone. Yeah. So we know for sure we have power outages right now around Western Drive, around Livingstone Worship Center, around that area. If you have any updates, please, message me on my Del Rio weather page on Del Rio News Network just to get you more, live footage as this develops. So it looks like out by South Del Rio, out by Bowie Street, it looks like there was lights flickering as well. There are also hearing indications of maybe possible hail. I'm gonna go ahead and just double check that real quick on the radar. Well, it looks like there's really no indication of, any sort of significant size hail, maybe penny size or pea size. But you're looking like very, very heavy rainfall moving into the city of Del Rio. Interesting to see on these rainfall rates in about the next 30 minutes, thinking they're going to be around 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Let's see if we can get that velocity picture. So it looks like those strong winds that had 60, 70 miles per hour winds, those are now moving through Valverde Estates. So out by, Highway 90, looks like even portions of Lofton Air Force Base, you are probably seeing, those strong winds that are around 60, 70 mile per hour winds. You want to make sure you're safe out there, but that is probably causing some havoc if you happen to be around these areas as well. So it looks like the National Weather Service, let me see if I can get this to show you. Excuse me while I play with this real quick. So the National Weather Service has now extended this severe thunderstorm warning to now include Brackettville and Spofford and portions of northern Maverick County. This activity is expected now to move towards the east and southeast. So if you are watching and you are in the Eagle Pass area, now you are starting to see these warnings beginning to move closer to your county. So you want to make sure that if you're seeing all these videos in Del Rio, hearing me talk about how noisy and how rainy it is in Del Rio, that is going to head your way in Eagle Pass in about an hour. If you are in Brackettville, this is headed into your area in about 50, 40 minutes. So you want to make sure you are making precautions. As you can even see, some lights are flickering around here in the studio too, and you can hear some heavy, heavy rainfall. It looks like, there's going to be some, probably some precautions here in the city of Del Rio too, more likely. If you are driving out by, Veterans Boulevard, areas that are, right now that have a lot of rain and that, maybe are prone to some flooding, just be careful. Rainfall is not letting down here in Del Rio. We are continuing to have heavy rainfall. Wouldn't be shocked if the National Weather Service issues a flood advisory or any flood warning because this system is moving really slow.
We got a couple of questions or just comments coming in. Vanessa Saldúa, heavy rain, high winds in Cienegas. Jose Franco, ¿cuánto tiempo durará la... I have no idea. I'm sorry. I'm bad at Spanish. Gabriela Nava, heavy rain in high winds in Cienega. Alice Williams, Mariposa Drive, heavy rain winds. Ana Guajardo, heavy rain, Lakeview wind and thunder. Randy Jimenez, rain just started by the base. Enrique Trevino, watch out for the low water crossings. Gabriela Nava, thunder is really bad and strong. Lights went off in Cienegas, so now power is out over there in the Cienegas area. Emily Cortez, heavy wind by Geo. We got two more. Kelly Gordon, still high winds in Ceniza Hills. Clarissa Molina, finally pouring at LAFB. And Edna Williams, wild storm with strong winds and rain.
So appreciate all the comments, by the way, but let's go ahead and look at two things I want to show you as we're looking live here. See if I can get that. There you go. Put that a little bit more here. So the wind gusts, talked about earlier about 60, 70 mile per hour winds. Those 60, 70 mile per hour winds now impacting Laughlin Air Force Base. Laughlin Air Force Base, you are showing, the possibility of having those high wind speeds. Let's see what radar is indicating as we are looking through that. That is around 50, 54, 57, 58. There's even close to 60 mile per hour wind gusts, 66 mile per hour wind gusts just north of Valverde Estates. So that wind strength is not, letting go. And this is all straight line winds. So you just want to make sure you are careful if you are driving out by Highway 90. Highway 90 between Del Rio and Valverde Estates. And also too, heading toward maybe Laughlin, you are right now in that high wind threat for the local area. It looks like wind threat is still around Del Rio, about 40, maybe 35 mile per hour wind gusts, consistent, around that local area as well.
And we got a couple more comments coming in. Ivan Valdez, very, very strong winds. UPS Center on Cortinas. Enrique Trevino, veterans is getting bad. Don't drive unless you need to.
Yes, so the heavy rain is not letting up in here in Del Rio. So I'm real glad that, Enrique was talking about that. You want to be careful with, areas that are prone for flooding. Right now we had an earlier comment about Buena Vista. Buena Vista had a pipe leak, around the park. Those areas, those low-lying areas, be careful with flooding. Rain is not letting up. It looks like more rain is still in the forecast here for Del Rio for at least the next hour. So you want to make sure, and then there's more rain north of the county. So all this rain continues to be around that area. So just please remain safe if you are driving. If you can, get home. If you can, find a way to, just wait out to the storm, please do so, because there is a lot of rainfall around the local area. I'm gonna see if I can get those rainfall totals right now. They are gonna be updating as we continue our broadcast, but I just want to give you an idea of maybe what is ongoing.
And we've got one comment. Emily Rojas, rain and wind is horrible in San Felipe. Alice Williams is also saying crossing I guess you're not able to cross on Kingsway and Mary Lou Drive. Turn around and don't go through it. Cherry Mar is saying, when should the storm be past us? And Freddie Rodriguez, power line down by Stripes by the border, reported just now.
So we got power lines down, and that's going to be because of those high winds. So you have the combination of high winds causing those power, outages and heavy rainfall. Just to give you an idea, this is an ongoing storm. So right now when I show you these rainfall rates, they're going to be changing every time I go back to this image. Right now we have at least a half-inch rainfall rate for the city of Del Rio. Inch rates around Cienega is getting close to 2 inches as well. Northern portions of Lakeview around an inch as well. And that rain is going to continue. We are not going to let up on any rain anytime soon. So you want to stay on the safe side when it comes to, driving through these conditions. Wind speeds are going to remain relatively high. It looks like the strongest wind speeds are now pushing towards Highway 90 away from Laughlin Air Force Base, but there's still very strong winds around that local area, so you want to be careful. But if you are driving into Del Rio and are maybe seeing the base area, where you see that little area where it tells you can't park because of the planes docking, that area is going to be very susceptible for a very high wind. And you also want to just be careful for any power lines if they happen to be down as well. Yes, we got more questions.
We got a couple more comments. Rebecca Rodriguez on Highway 90, strong winds currently at gas stations. Froilan is saying that in Acuña, the guts are losing strength over there, but the lightning is continuing. Fernando Castillon Jr. is saying, as long as the hail stays away, keep the rain coming. And we've got a couple video submissions that I'll load up for you right now.
Awesome. Yes, that rain is going to continue to come, and it is going to be able to stay around the local area. Rain is not lighting up at all. There is some possibility of some lighter rain beginning to come into Del Rio, but heavy rain is still possible for the next, I would say, 30-40 minutes. There is plenty of rain behind this system too. So once the system passes on through, we are going to probably see moderate to light rainfall continue for another 2 or 3 hours. So you want to make sure, like I said, if you are driving around Del Rio, to be on the safe side. Areas out by Laughlin Air Force Base, South Del Rio, there was indication of the possibility of, maybe pea-sized hail. That is going to be an indication in some of these areas too in these storms. The large hail threat is going to be continuing to be north of the city. We're not going to have to worry about that. But any pea-sized hail, that is a possibility in these storms. Very, very, small hail, but, it's hail is hail, so you want to just be careful with that. It looks like that wind threat now is moving past Laughlin Air Force Base, but is now entering, I believe Kenny County. So if you are in Kenny County, in the outskirts of Kenny County, I know some people live out right before the line of the county line of Valverde and Kenny. You want to be on the safe side because that is 60, 70 mile per hour winds gusts possible with those storms. Awesome. So we're going to look at a video from Elvia Olmos. So we appreciate you sending that video. So this is just an indication of very heavy rainfall. This looks like to be, I want to say, in the northern portions of the city of Del Rio. This is actually about Valverde, and this is an indication of that heavy rainfall moving on through. Those look like rainfall rates might be close to about 2 inches. A lot of rain, a lot of wind through the local area. We appreciate you sending that video footage just to give a visual too of what was going on in different parts of Del Rio. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. I know we have some more videos coming on through, so keep saying them, keep coming our way. Willard's doing a great job on giving you that piece as well. Then we get some more comments too coming in.
So we got a couple more comments here. We've got Edna Williams, let it rain, but no hail, please. Jose Carlos is saying, keep the rain coming, no hail, please. Thomas Page Day, rain started at Sycamore and 90. Jose Carlos, can you tell the meteorologist he's doing an amazing job? Thank you guys for the awesome job. Kelly Gordon, thank you, Jesus, for the much needed rain. Chris and Joanna Nuno, Meandering Way and Amistad getting flooded. Crystal Gomez is just telling someone to be safe. And it's raining heavy. Candy Del Real, love the rain, thunder and lightning, no hail, please. Thank you for keeping us informed. Alyssa, Eduardo Enriquez, will this storm cause a tornado? And last question, Priscilla Huerta, big tree branches are falling at Star Park.
So those big tree branches, those are indications of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Right now, there is no tornado threat. All these threats are going to be straight line winds. You're starting to now see that gust front becoming more defined as it's pushing now towards the east. That means in Brackettville, if you happen to be outdoors right now, you want to be on the safe side, but you can probably see that cloud cover that we saw in those videos moving very quickly towards you. Once that line passes through you, you're going to feel those winds completely increase. We saw Laughlin, we saw Valverde Estates get 60, 70 mile per hour winds. That's going to be in picture for Brackettville if you are in that area. Let's see if we can look to on radar. It looks like the heaviest rain is now beginning to slightly push away from the city of Del Rio. It looks like out by Box Canyon, you guys are starting to feel that light to moderate rain. You probably feel that wind gusts around 20, 30 miles per hour, but rain is beginning to start, kind of lighten up around your area as well. The city of Del Rio out by Cienegas, you're starting to see rain begin to decrease slightly. The city of Del Rio, you'll probably see rain begin to decrease slightly in maybe the next 20, 30 minutes. Same thing with Lakeview, but we are indicating that more rain is in the back of the system, and that's going to keep things relatively moderate to light. We did hear a report of power lines down. You want to be careful. I know the biggest thing when it rains in Del Rio is you want to drive around and you want to kind of see the damage. You want to kind of see what's going on, but you just want to be on the safe side. There's a lot of areas right now that are experiencing little bit minor flooding. Veterans Boulevard was one that was indicated out by Kings Way. That area is completely unavoidable right now. So you want to make sure you are remaining cautious. And we got some more comments as well.
Yes, we got a couple more comments. No power in South Del Rio. The cloud said some type of rotation over my house here in Valverde. She was scared. That is from Crystal Gomez. Raul Oviedo, electricity went out on Greenwood Street area by Sacred Heart School. Valverde Park is getting lots of rain from Mary Scott. Lou Alderete, high winds knocked our trees. Nelson Ruiz, heavy rain and wind gusts in hospital area, streets flooding. RG Maldonado, thank you for Alex for keeping us updated. Great job. And I guess someone else asked about a tornado as well, and someone noted that you had said that would be negative. And I got a couple more comments, but I'll let you respond to those ones first.
Cool. So right now we are continuing rain here in Del Rio. Tornado threat is really out of the picture for the city of Del Rio. Now that this line's move on through, no type of tornado is in the picture. Now areas in Brackettville in Highway 90, your threat of a tornado is, I would say, very, very low, but it's not zero. So you want to just make sure for any possible spin ups, but just eyeballing the radar right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be a, any sort of, of thing in my opinion. But right now you are going to be, experiencing that heavy, heavy rain. That heavy rain is now is really kind of making its final pick through Laughlin Air Force Base, but we want to note the power outages. Power outages now in Cienegas. That's going to be, the eastern portion, the southeastern portion of Del Rio. Power outages in Greenwood. Power outages in South Del Rio. There's a lot of, trees in South Del Rio, so, there could be trees that are affecting that area. I know Ceniza Hills may have had a few power outages as well. But make sure to keep those comments coming so we can keep you updated. I know our ticker upstairs, up on our screen is telling you exactly where we're seeing power outages. If we can get an estimated time on when those power outages are going to be able to be restored, we'll get that to you as well. But just keep that information coming, keep those things coming. I'm going to try to do my best to keep you, alert here, as it looks like, that storm is finally pushing its final, push toward the city of Del Rio. It looks like rainfall now is beginning to lighten up around Del Rio. See if I can kind of zoom in and show you. Okay, so let's see. So it looks like there is some, light, moderate rain now beginning to go through Del Rio, and that heavier portions of the rain is starting to finally push towards the north, eastern portions of the county towards the east. I know we got some more comments too and more questions.
Yes, actually, so AEP is saying that the power will be back on around 12 a.m. for most of the locations here in Del Rio. That's when they're saying the power will be restored. And we got a couple of questions coming in. Eduardo Enriquez, do we know how strong the wind is right now? George Herrera, if you need your yards cut after this rain, shoot me a text. Kelly Gordon, thank you so much for staying on with us and keeping us up to date. No power by the museum. Thank you for reporting live. All the updates help. Lots of lightning and rain and wind from Ron Aquiliano Sr. Dora Linda, thank you for the live report. Laura Arteaga, any hail? Jimena Lucio, thank you. Jimena Lucio, do you know what time it's going to stop? And I'll let you answer those questions.
Cool.
If you need a refresher, let me know.
Cool. So it looks like the rain is beginning to taper off. You can hear it from our doorstep here at DRN 25. Rain is gonna slow down. It's not gonna completely stop, but it's gonna feel like if someone turned off the faucet in a sense, compared to what we've been experiencing. With that, we are going to be, still having a flood threat. Yeah. So National Weather Service has now issued, and I was just waiting on them doing this. They have now issued a flood warning. This flood warning is now including the city of Del Rio. The flood warning includes Del Rio and Johnstone, Texas, and that's going to be from until 12:45 Central Daylight Time. It's going to be every, low-lying areas in, the central parts of the city. Northern parts of the city, Cienegas, Valverde Estates, San Felipe, those areas are going to be included in the warning as well. So if you can avoid being on the roads right now, is what you want to do.
So I do have a couple of other comments. Jose Carrasco, will the storm weaken once it enters Eagle Pass? And let's see, Desi, we have another question to ask you about tornadoes. And then Desi Hernandez Rodriguez, streets are super flooded on Clayton Street.
Yes, so right now, the tornado threat for Del Rio and all of the vicinity of Del Rio, when I say the vicinity, that's Lakeview, Laughlin Air Force Base, Cienegas, all that, the tornado threat is completely gone. That threat is already moving on through. Light rain is now beginning to, hang around for the city of Del Rio. The heaviest rain is still kind of impacting Lakeview, but that's going to be moving away from you shortly. As well, same thing can be said around Laughlin Air Force Base. That heavy rain is continuing to move away from you. You should see things calm down. But the main threat is going to be the flood warning. So I'm going to read you from the National Weather Service. This is a flash flood warning is now in effect for the area until 12:45 Central Daylight Time. This is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. Do not attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under an evacuation order. I cannot express how important it is to take these warnings seriously. You may see an area that you think you can drive through, and if you see running water, please avoid that area. There's a lot of unfortunate things that do happen to people when they do not take these warnings seriously. So please make sure you are careful if you are driving around the area. And please listen to your local law enforcement authority, as well as too on DRN 25. We'll give you any information if the city of Del Rio does post anything out. You did hear about electricity power outages, right? It is indicating that the AEP would restore power around 12 a.m. tonight. Hoping that they do that a little bit sooner, but that's just a ballpark estimation on what you can see, for the city of Del Rio.
We got a couple of other comments. So I got multiple comments asking about tornadoes. I don't know if you want to answer that one before I go into these next ones.
Okay. So as far as tornadoes goes, we do not have any sort of tornado threat right now for the local area. We did have winds up to 60, 70 miles per hour, and that indicated very strong straight line winds. There was not any indication of any, rotation radar-wise, and I believe there was no indication of any, observations of anything like that. So right now, tornado threat is going to be, completely out of the question for the city of Del Rio. I know that people were asking too if this system was going to be moving toward Eagle Pass. It is on the road toward Eagle Pass. So if you are in the Eagle Pass area, it is, going towards your doorstep. I want to say another hour or so, and it should be around your local area. If you've been seeing and keeping things up here in Del Rio, a lot of rain, a lot of lightning, possible, embeds of hail, and those are going to be the things that are going to be, on tap for Eagle Pass, in the next hour or so.
Gotcha. And then we got Froilan is saying, finally here in Acuña, the storm is ending. There's only lightning around the city. And we got multiple questions asking, when is it going to stop? And then some. We do now have another power outage to add onto our list. It is in the Valverde County. We'll add it to the ticker at the very top in just a bit. Romanelli Park, San Felipe Creek is good for now. Slight water increase in the river. And those are the comments that we have for now.
So rain is going to decrease in intensity, but it's not going to stop. You did see rainfall, really, heavy, the last, hour or so, but now you're going to see rainfall really light to moderate around the local area in Del Rio and shortly in Lakeview, shortly in Lofton Air Force Base too. But it's not going to stop. You have a lot, of stratiform rain in the back. Stratiform rain is that really light, comfortable rain, that rain that makes you want to fall asleep. That's going to be lingering around the area for probably like another hour or two, maybe even 3. So rain is not going to stop for Del Rio completely. You are going to feel some, moderate to light rain. But as far as the heaviest rain, that's already beginning to push out of the county. So that's like out by Brackettville. Brackettville, you are probably around 30 minutes away. You're feeling those gusts of winds move on through. You're probably 30 minutes away from getting some rain for sure. And also too, just south of Del Rio, heading toward Quemado and whatnot, you are probably near about, 45 minutes, and then I would say about Eagle Pass being around an hour. And we did talk about power outages. Valverde Estates, that area is now under, a power outage as well. And that's just an indication of just how strong those winds were. Right now, winds, I want to say, let's see if I can get that number for you. Right now, winds roughly around Del Rio are around, 25 to 30 mile per hour winds. So you are going to still feel that, pretty decent wind gusts around the local area.
We got a couple more questions coming in. We have Jose Carrasco. Did Del Rio see any confirmed tennis ball-sized hail? And thank you for all the information from Rebecca. Alice Williams, thank you so much for keeping informed and that we're able to see you and the radar. Thank you. And Karen Johnson is saying it's still coming down hard out at the lake. And Kelly Gordon says, what about all that yellow on the radar behind you?
Cool. So looking at that yellow behind me, this is like what I was talking about, something called stratiform rain. This is actually light to moderate rainfall. So you are gonna feel rain if this moves on through your area, but it's not gonna feel nothing compared to these, these monsters that went on through to us. Rainfall near, I know they talked about the lake still getting some recent rainfall. That's still lingering a little bit north of Lakeview. That should begin to push more towards the east in about the next maybe 15, 20 minutes. I'm trying to get an indication of any, confirmed reports here out in Del Rio. So I'm looking through my iPad real quick just to give you that information, see if I can get anything. Give me 1 second. Keep those videos and those pictures posted. Just make sure you are safe though. I do not, want anyone to, get in any danger or whatnot if you are submitting a video. Right now, looking at our airport sensor, right now it was indicating, 47 mile per hour wind gusts. This was roughly around, it looks like roughly around 7:53 p.m. They should be getting another update soon just to get an idea of just how fast those winds are. We did see winds around 60, 70 mile per hour here for Del Rio. Right now, let me see if I can get any reports locally. Right now, we don't have any official reports of any tennis ball size hail or anything like that. It maybe was reported too that hail up to pea size was possible in some parts of the storm. Starting to hear some sirens, outside of the city, out of our studio here. Could be some, law enforcement just helping with the flooding, with the precautions as far as, those power lines down as well. So we're starting to see a break here in Del Rio too, as far as rainfall. Looks like rainfall is going to be slowly going away here in Del Rio. We're getting that little dry slot here, which is, really good as we want, everyone to be safe. We want to make sure that everyone's, being taken care of. And remember, those power outages are on our ticker up from our screen here. They are up in our screen here, and they are just going to continue to give you more information as it comes here at DRN 25. And now also too, I'm getting information right now that all the power outages have already been reported to AEP, so they are en route to trying to get those things situated for you as well. So keep those questions coming. See, I'm gonna check my, see if I get anything going on. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and give you an idea of where those power outages coming in from a map from AEP. So right now, this is South Del Rio. So if I can go ahead and look, this is going to be out toward the Whitehead Museum. This looks like it's out toward Highway 277. It looks like that's more out toward Eagle Pass Hill. It looks like there's some power outages as well near, the West Cantu. That's also too around, Livingstone Western Drive. And it looks like maybe some power outages around, the creek too, around San Felipe as well. These power outages are possibly going to remain until 12 a.m. tonight. I know the AEP does a really good job at, giving you an indicator of when these outages will be fixed, and they usually do it a little bit quicker than anticipated. So I know right now they're probably on it. Those people work really hard. They're on call 24/7, so we appreciate them as well. So right now we're looking at the storm system continue to move on through to Kenny County. Starting to see some more development out toward Kenny County as well. If you are in Brackettville, you want to just be on, prepared that you are about to get, very heavy rainfall as well as very strong winds to move on through you.
We have Mike Bridges saying that there was pea-sized hail in South Del Rio about 30 minutes ago. Stand by. I'm also checking some other comments. Is the storm not dangerous anymore? From Johan Vidal.
So a pea-sized hail was reported in South Del Rio. That was also reported near Bowie Street. That was a possibility too. Didn't look like the radar indicated anything stronger than that. So as of right now, that's the for sure confirmed hail size that I have gotten right now from the city of Del Rio. Looking right now, just on the latest, if you are in the Brackettville area, you are in the doorstep of 50, 60 mile per hour winds. Those winds are just about to move into Brackettville right now. So if you are in that area, please make sure you are taking safe precautions.
And we got a couple more other comments. Froilan is saying, finally, in Acuña, the rain stopped. Only slow wind and short lightning with thunder. Thanks for informing. Let's hope this is enough heavy storms for today.
Yes, so rain is going to be, as far as the threat for severe weather around Valverde County is going to begin to diminish now that the system's moving on through. We are going to have a chance for some light rain, moderate to light rain. I had questions about, this stuff in the back here. That's going to hang around a little bit. That's going to hang around for another hour or two. But as far as, the severe threat, that's going to be over here for Valverde County. What's going to be left is going to be what we have to deal with, the flash flood warning, the power outages, everything like that. That's what we're going to have to worry about. But as far as, severe weather, it looks like that's going to begin to diminish around Valverde County. Going to take a few more, questions, a few more, updates. That way we can give you some, real good content this weekend in our news show. If you ever get a chance to catch our news show at DRN 25 here on Del Rio News Network at 9 a.m. as we'll be going live in our next news show, and maybe be able to show you some live clips of maybe some things that are going on in Del Rio due to the storm. So make sure you submit those things. I know some of y'all submitted some beautiful videos. Going to be asking for permission from you guys about using some of those. They were really awesome videos. But going to hang out here for a few more minutes just to answer any more questions before we close things out here at DRN 25.
So I guess this will be like the second before the last round of questions we'll take. So we've got Ciara Lynn. Thank you for sharing this information to our community. Ciara Lynn, rain is slowing down out by the lake near the port of entry. Del Rey, Goya, gusts are coming in strong. Is this pushing out the heavy portion and expected? RG Maldonado, you're spot on, drizzling near Mall. Thank you. Wilma Arredondo, thank you for your service. Appreciate all you do for the community.
Thank you, y'all. And just one more indicator that all this system is pushing out towards the east, toward the Brackettville area, toward the Kenny County area. They're actually getting an explosion of development as this gust front moves on through, and it's going to probably produce more showers and storms out by, near Camado, around Radar Base. You guys are about to get, some heavy rain. If you're on Highway 277 traveling toward Eagle Pass, you are getting that rain as well. If you are in Eagle Pass, Texas, you are going to be getting that very heavy rain as well in about, I would say another 45 minutes, 50 minutes. But majority of this line is now moved past Del Rio. And it looks like, Del Rio is beginning to clear up. I know I got a little bit of a shout out by the mall. It looks like a dry slot is, growing here in Del Rio. It's going to cause things to be relatively calm. But some light showers are going to be possible throughout the night until this whole system begins to push on through.
All right, and this will be the last call for any questions for Alexander Menchaca. I'll go ahead and read this one right here. We still have no light from Donna. Thank you guys. Awesome coverage. And this is the last call for any questions you may have for him. So go ahead and submit your questions, and we'll go to me closing things up here pretty soon.
As you continue to watch, I just want to say it's an honor to be able to give you all information here. Want to give a special shout out to Willard Jenkins. He's our, the man behind the plan here at DRN 25, making all this possible. So we appreciate you, Willard, and we appreciate all you guys following. If you can like all our social media accounts, if you can share this, the more that we grow, it serves you in the community. And that's all we're here for. We envision a plan here to help you be as informed as possible here in Del Rio. So it's an honor to be able to, help you guys and to provide, weather information. You can follow information on Del Rio Weather Alerts as well. That's my Facebook page if you haven't liked it or shared it yet.
All right, these are the last few questions we're going to go ahead and read right here. Marcy Castillo Resendez is saying, is it just heavy rain or hail as well? I believe it's kind of already passed, if I'm correct.
Yes, it's already past the area, yes. Mm-hmm.
And Angela Grijalva is saying, we're hearing alarm by the winery. And is there another alert out there?
So right now, the only alert in the local area is the flash flood warning that's engulfing. It looks like portions of Lakeview, Del Rio, Lofton Air Force Base, Cienegas, Valverde Estates, portions of South Del Rio, San Felipe, Eagle Pass Hill. That's the active warning. That's going to be a flash flood warning, and that's going to last all the way until midnight at 12:45. So as soon as this completely begins to calm down, you're going to feel, hey, you know, everything's cool, everything's calm. But remember, we do have power lines down. We do have multiple areas that have power outages. We have areas that are engulfed by heavy rainfall right now that are causing driving conditions to be tough. Please be careful. Make sure that you do stay on your toes for the next couple of hours.
Alex, I have one more question. I guess before you close out, or if you want to close out with this, can people expect any other rain going into the night? What else can they expect after we end the stream?
So after we end the stream, you're going to have the chance of some light to moderate rain to hang around the local area. As far as heavy rain, that's going to be that's going to be very, very low. That chance is going to be almost completely gone. But don't want to rule anything out that can possibly happen. But it's going to be this light, you know, moderate rain. And this heavy, you know, line is going to continue to push on toward the east. This is going to be the main moneymaker. This is going to be, you know, impacting Brackettville, Kenny County, Maverick County, even portions of Carrizo Springs, maybe even out to Uvalde as well. That's going to be the areas that are going to be the more focus zones, right? That just, you know, that have a chance for those high, you know, impact areas. As far as Del Rio, we should see some light rain hang on through. And looks like that's where we're going to end everything going on. So we appreciate you guys watching here on Del Rio News Network, DRN 25. Can I get that one more time? Sorry. I appreciate that. So we just want to thank you so much for, you know, tuning into our broadcast here, our Severe Weather Center. Whenever there's any chance of severe weather, we will be, you know, giving you an update here, whether that's activating, you know, the Severe Weather Center or just letting you know we are monitoring conditions. But as always, we could not do this without our sponsors. That's Valverde Regional Medical Center and ServiceNow. We appreciate you guys for everything y'all do. And this is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca. This is signing out. Thank y'all so much, and y'all stay safe. And make sure to follow all our social media accounts on Del Rio News Network and our DRN 25. We'll see y'all on Saturday for our new show. Last night, we had a good amount of thunderstorms move on through. Right now, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That 5-day forecast for you for this week. This is meteorologist Alexander Menchaca.